Today on Nova Legends podcast, I have Lake Braddock coach Tony Garza, whose Bruins have just beat my Robinson Rams in the quarterfinals of the Occoquan region, and they're going to play in the semifinals on Wednesday with a chance to go to the state tournament back where Coach has been before. Coach, congratulations and thanks for doing this.
Thank you for having me on here. I appreciate it.
Oh no, of course. What's that?
I said thank you for being at the game the other night. That was a tough game.
Yeah, it was a great game. We'll get to that game in a second. I just want to. You're a Mount Vernon grad. You coached at Mount Vernon girls, and then you end up coaching the boys as well. When your twin brother, who was coaching the boys at Mount Vernon, went to Robinson, and then you won a state title at Mount Vernon. A guy that I've interviewed, Simon Cargbo, which I really like that guy a lot. Another guy named Cedric Ikue. Hope I pronounced that right. Anyway, that was a legendary run you guys had. Really poor start to that season. Got the state title. End up coming to Lake Braddock, and I guess one of the reasons why is you wanted to coach against your brother who was at Robinson at the time. And then this year Lake Braddock's had a couple down years. And all of a sudden, out of nowhere, you're back trying to get back on top. Coach, did I get most of that right?
The only correction would be I'm actually a graduate of Hayfield, not Mount Vernon.
Oh, interesting.
I'm actually orange and white alumni.
Yeah. This is in the I found an article online. I guess they had their information.
Oh, that's okay.
Correct. Yeah, I'm
everything else is true. Yes, everything else is correct. Just that one little correction.
Yeah, I just want to. Well, thanks for clearing that up. So, sure. First of all, the game on Thursday was it? The game on Wednesday. Now, that was a great environment. It was a neutral field at West Springfield. You guys had tied before, two very familiar opponents. When you coach in a game like that, when everything's on the line, knockout, is it hard to get that kind of rush, that kind of feeling, doing anything else? I mean, is that why you coach for nights like that?
Oh my goodness. 100% absolutely. That game Wednesday night was edge of your seat. I remember listening to my wife after the game saying that the people she was sitting in the stands, like every time, if it was either Robinson or Lake Braddock, anytime a shot on goal, people were at the edge of their seat, just the energy rushed through it. Honestly, that's the one reason why we love coaching high school soccer. Just the atmosphere, the under the lights at night, seeing a bunch of talented young high school kids come together and just play a game that's just full of emotions and pure joy. That's why we do it.
Yeah, it was incredible. The way I read the game, and I've seen Robinson a couple times this year. My son played at Yorktown against you a few years ago. It was interesting. He was guarding E-Man that day, a guy he played club with, on a rainy night at Robinson at Yorktown. But I'd seen Robinson a couple times this year, knew them really well, very talented team. They haven't scored a lot of goals this year, but most of their games have been low scoring. But they have quality all over the pitch. I hadn't seen you guys at all, but the only games you've lost to some very high profile opponents this year. You lost to Lewis, probably the top team in the area. You've lost to Herndon, another top team in the area. Woodson, who was undefeated most of the year. You lost to Westfield, who just got knocked out of regionals. So your schedule has been great. You've won lots of games. I believe you're 10-5-1 now. My rate of the game was the first half, you got all over Robinson and you had the better of the play. They made some mistakes in the midfield, which was uncharacteristic of them. Then I felt in the second half, they settled into the game. And I felt like they were the better team in the second half. It flipped. And I thought they had a chance to win the game. Scored a goal near the death. It was disallowed because of contact in the box. That must have been an incredible feeling for you. And then, overtime, great saves by both goalies, and then we went to penalties. And then you have a 6'5" keeper, and they have a great keeper, but maybe undersized. So it's one of those games where it had a little bit of everything. Anybody could win, and you guys just eked it out. What was your read of the game?
I actually, tell you the truth, I think you're spot on. The first time we played them throughout the season, in the middle of the season. It was first half was all them, second half us. First overtime period them, second overtime period us, and I felt like it was the exact same thing again this time. Just reverse opposite. I felt like the first half was us this time. We just wanted to come out and see what we can do right away. Second half, Robinson settled in. I'm a big believer that if you lose the middle, you lose the game. And second half, they really controlled the middle. They distributed very well. And then I thought they moved the ball around and kept pulling us apart a little bit. And then overtime period came, and I felt like overtime was just back and forth, back and forth. The one thing I do got to give credit to is both goalkeepers. Honestly, those two guys were stars of the game. I mean, players of the game, both those guys. Seeing Robinson's goalkeeper make some acrobatic diving saves in midair. And of course, my goalkeeper being 6'5", he was able to get some tall ones out there though. But I mean, but watching both those games, I think I've watched that game twice now, just going back and just analyzing and rewatching the game and just being absolutely amazed at both of them throughout, from the PKs from the very beginning. Absolutely amazing.
Yeah, it's interesting. I thought their goalie took at least 2 goals away from you in regulation, Gerard Moss.
Yes.
And I thought your goalie didn't have much to do, even though they were around there. There wasn't anything really dangerous until very late. He made that save that. But I thought as dangerous as they are, you guys kept your shape really well, and they weren't able to really. They dribbled around the box. They had some long shots, but you guys were never in danger until that one shot that he saved.
I think that's what you're talking about. The one that went high up over the goalpost like this. You talking about that one?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a beautiful. I think 11 took that shot. That was a beautiful shot. And I'll be honest, when that happened, all of us just froze on the bench. We just all froze. We thought it was going in.
Yeah. Well, he's really tall, and he's got long arms, and he's good hands, and he was able. Hey, did you ever? I have not wanted to watch the replay of the disallowed goal. The reason why I haven't wanted to watch it is I got a picture of all the carnage in the box. There's bodies everywhere. So I know there was a lot of contact going on, but I felt like if it wasn't a foul, I'd feel bad. And if it was a foul, well, good. Late Braddock's advanced anyways. Who cares? So I haven't wanted to watch the replay, but I know you have. What did you see on the replay?
I watched it from both different angles. We have our trace system that we keep on our sideline, so we can that film position is a little better than the NFHS one. That I watched the NFHS one, was able to zoom in a little bit. Of course, us being advanced, I want to say, oh yeah, it was contact and everything. It was just a lot of bodies in the box. You see, everybody went up. You see a lot of bodies. I wish I can honestly sit here and tell you 100% that there was no contact. There was contact. I didn't see anything whatsoever. I remember watching the video and watching the ref. Typically, when a goal is scored, ref blows a whistle, goes like this, and then points towards the midfield. And he did that.
Yeah, it looked like it was a goal.
Exactly. And the second later, he went like this and waved it off. And we were confused on the sideline as well. And that's the first thing I did when the game got downloaded. I literally fast forward all the way to that part just so I could see if there was contact or not. And to this day, I wish I could tell you on the phone, on this podcast, that there was contact or there was no contact. It was a lot of bodies. It wasn't a very clear look at it. I did feel bad though, honestly, because Robinson worked hard all season. I feel bad.
Yeah, nothing you could do about it. You didn't appeal and ask for it. It was given. I will say the referees, I thought, did a great job in the game. I thought there was a well officiated game, and I think some of these games are really tough to officiate. I thought they had a real good read on the game, and there wasn't a lot of controversy, even though there's always going to be some calls that people second guess. And that call, and I was real close to it because I was taking photos there. Just happened to be there, and I got a great photo of the box. I have a great stills right before it happened, and I was just curious. And after it was over, was it a real deflating feeling to you, thinking that you may have lost the game at that point?
Oh, geez. I think every ounce of oxygen got sucked out of my lungs when that happened. When something happens, all of a sudden you just feel everything just kind of sink down. It was like everything just went straight down we saw it go in, but when he signaled to the midfield for the goal, that's when we just right there. It's high school soccer when it comes to playoff time, and when you get a crushing defeat like that, your season's over, especially for the seniors, and everything just kind of freezes in midair. It's like that time just stands still, and you don't even know how to react after that. And that happened. And then when he waved it off, it's like all of a sudden you get this, oh my gosh, it was a mistake, and then all the jubilation comes back up into your lungs after that.
Yeah. And I believe very soon after is when Gerard made one of those saves that saved the game for Robinson, I believe, right? I believe.
Oh,
You
that was
guys,
a header. Yes, that was that header where he got up and hit over the goalpost. Yes, absolutely.
yeah, yeah. So, when you go to overtime in a game like that, and I'm not a soccer guy, coach. I play basketball at Robinson, and I got into soccer when my son started playing. And then I try to learn as much about it as you can. You never know that much though if you never play, because there's a lot going on out there that I don't think a casual observer, even a passionate observer, can see. But when you go to penalties, is it an advantage to have a tall goalie, even though both goalies were fantastic? Is it visually intimidating on the shooter when you have a 6'5", 6'6" goalie on your side?
It is actually two reasons why. Is because one, if you try to go up for 90, then if they get the right step, they can get up, and they've got that far reach, especially going down the corners as well. When you have a tall goalkeeper, they're able to, when they're diving, they just have a reach that's to their advantage. So it is a little bit intimidating. But I'll be honest though, going against those PKs though, I remember telling our boys right before when we were in the little huddle before we took the field for the PKs, I remember telling them, guys, like, we've seen this goalkeeper all game. I was like, you've seen him leap from one goalpost to the other. I was like, he is quick. He's quick to get down. He's quick to get in the air. I was like, you cannot discount anything whatsoever. I mean, we were nervous about going in against him. I'll be honest, 100% truth on that one. 100% nervous going against him. I mean, Robinson, I actually forgot what grade he's in. But if he's there for a while, they're in good hands. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, I think he's a junior.
So,
So,
okay.
so what do you do to prepare for penalties? I mean, obviously there's penalties during the year, but they're one-offs. They happen after contact or whatever. This is the first time a high school team is going to see penalty kicks. Do you do anything special to prepare for penalties?
What we've done in the past, I mean, I'll be honest, like, everybody wants to take a PK. I mean, especially when you're practicing practice, everybody wants to take one. And I've always tell the players, listen, there's a difference between taking a PK at practice, take one at a game, take one when the actual season's on the line. Excuse me, sorry about that. And I said the pressure is unreal. Just to go back, when we won states in Mount Vernon, we won in PKs on the state title against Cosby High School. And I remember when we were getting my assistant coach at the time, Ian Lewis, who's over at Georgetown, when we were putting the players together, choosing our five, nobody wanted to take one. We really had to coax them. Nobody, because the amount of pressure was unreal. And I remember telling my players that we practice at PKs all the time in practice. And then the days leading up to the game against Robinson, I was like, all right, we've got to practice PKs. So what we do is we give them the PA system. We kind of take you look up a video on the phone. It can be like Premier League or NFL. You just put some crowd noise on the speaker, and you just have one of our managers hold the microphone up to the phone. So that way it kind of just envelops in the stadium real fast, and just kind of add that extra pressure in there is what we've done. So we practice doing that. But of course, some of the players, though, practicing at practice time, their whole thing is, oh, I got this. And then when PK came, we're choosing our players. We had two guys who flat out said, no, you can't do it. Sorry, coach. It's pressure's too much. So the five that we actually pointed out in practice, we had to replace two of them, because once again, the pressure and the amount, not just the pressure, but the I want to use the word intimidation of knowing that if you miss, season's over technically. And so I always tell people, when the game is on the line, especially your season, you got to be able to hold it all in right here to be able to take that.
Wow. Hey, and when you had the two that didn't want it, that was Mount Vernon? That wasn't this time around, right?
No, that was this time here.
Oh.
At Mount Vernon, when we won in 2013, our first five kickers we chose, neither one of them wanted to take it. Simon, who you interviewed, and Cedric interviewed, they both took it, but neither one of them wanted to take it. You had to coax them into doing it. I only had one player in 2013 who stepped up and said, "Coach, I'll take it. I'll take it." And he wound up, unfortunately, he missed the goalkeeper stopped his. But luckily, Lucas Flanger, our goalkeeper time, stopped the next one as well. So we kept going. But I tell you, when a kid gets nervous and they're like, "No, coach, no, I can't do it." You got to do everything you can to get every ounce of motivation out of you to get into them, to get them to change their mind. It was rough.
Yeah. Well, I did a poll on Instagram, on our Instagram site. Would you volunteer to take a penalty and knock out? And 85% said yes. And I'm like, this is complete BS. You're saying that now, but that would not be the case if it was a real knockout game and you had 500,000 people in the stands.
It takes a level of calmness to do that. It really does.
Yeah. Yeah. When Yorktown, my son's team played, we played South Lakes in the regional final the year after the COVID year when we had kind of the season after the basketball season, after the winter sports season,
Yeah.
and we got South Lakes in the penalties. And my son, he didn't volunteer. I don't know if he would have been chosen at all, but both teams made 13 penalties in a row or 12 in a row before one was missed. And we ended up winning the game. And I always, I'm relieved that he didn't, because I would have hated for him to have been the only one who missed. I would have felt so bad for him. But we're going to get back to this team in this season. But let's talk a little bit about how you got into soccer. So I assume you and your twin brother were both high level players as well.
I would like to think I was. I started playing when I was 5 years old. Just my father was from Texas, and he was a big football player down there in Texas, and he didn't want my brother and I. Sorry, he didn't want us getting hurt growing up. I mean, he had some lingering injuries, and he just wanted us to play soccer instead. And of course, I grew up in a time frame where soccer wasn't really the popular sport, at least in America at that time. So he kind of made fun of playing soccer. But I started when I was playing 5. Went all the way through, played club soccer, then of course high school, then went to Liberty and played for Liberty. Just it was fun while it lasted. And of course, as I got older now, there's some. It's funny as anything. My father didn't really play football because of the injuries, but now here I am, and I mean, they got the small little lingering injuries you feel when you get up, and you feel your back kind of tweak, or you feel your knees kind of still crack because of all the years of pounding on the field. So it's funny. It's just the irony of that.
Yeah, I mean, soccer is a very physical sport. Who were some of your first heroes in soccer?
Oh my gosh! Well, of course, growing up at that time, everybody loved Pele and Maradona. But I'll be honest, when I was in high school, Roberto Baggio is one of my favorite players at all times. I mean, maybe I was a little bit jealous because he had the long hair and the ponytail. Of course, I don't have any hair, so I think I was a big fan of his. He was one of my heroes playing soccer because just he played right in the middle of the pitch, and just the way he was able to distribute the ball and control the game. That's a position I played before. I grew up playing goalkeeper, and then just to give you a funny story, my brother was on the striker up top, and I was a goalkeeper. And one time I wanted to come out of the goal so bad, so I literally was in tears and crying just to get my coach to force me to come out of goal and play field. And ever since then, I just stayed in the field after that. But Baggio is one of my favorites. It's just because, I mean, we're talking about old school players, the way he controlled the middle, just the way I love to play. So that was one of my heroes growing up, watching him play.
Yeah. Was being a twin important in your development in terms of soccer?
Soccer, I'll be honest. Everybody always asks, what's it like to be a twin? And I tell everybody it's competition your entire life. Doesn't matter if it's soccer or you're playing, you play FIFA on PS5, it's always competition. But the good thing about it, though, was regardless of win, lose, draw, or anything in the game, the emotions of the game, the best thing about it was having my brother there. I mean, we can be celebrating together. We can be getting on each other on the field because he didn't do this right or I didn't do that right. I just, having your twin, having your exact same on the field, I'll be honest, it was an advantage because we're able to feed off each other on the field. So that was the advantage. And on top of that, coaching against them, that's a little rivalry for the family at all times. And that's one that I've always remembered. Growing up with them, playing with them. Funniest thing is we never played against each other. We only played with each other and coached against each other. That's it.
Who was the most influential coach you ever had? And does that coach influence you today?
Oh my gosh, absolutely. I mean, for the longest time, I used to have there's a coach by the name of Bill Stackhouse, who I used to adore. He was a great coach. He was one of my club coaches. But once I got to high school, I met Jeff Riemann. Jeff Riemann is by far today the most influential coach I've ever had. He was a soccer coach at Hayfield. He used to teach at Hayfield. I was very fortunate and very lucky and blessed to have him come out of retirement and work with me at Lake Braddock for 2 years before he decided to retire again. The way Coach Riemann approaches the game. I think Dan Drickey at Hayfield had him as a coach. My brother and I did. The way Coach Riemann approaches the game, his philosophy, his vision, and the way he's able to motivate his players is what I think grounded us and taught us more about the game. Riemann, to this day, I still keep. Matter of fact, I got a text from him the next day after the Robinson game, congratulating me on the win. Jeff Riemann is probably the most influential coach I've ever had in my entire life, and he's somebody I still to this day keep in contact with. I mean, as you can tell, it's all love with that guy. I mean, there was one night where in 2013, I was playing against Ricky for the district championship at Hayfield, and I was at Mt Vernon at the time. And my brother was coaching Robinson, and all three of us were playing the district title. And it was something where we're all putting out on Facebook and social media at the time that you got Coach Reeman's progenies all playing for district title that night. So as you can tell, we all three of us still keep in touch with him, and we still give him the credit and the shout out anytime we win something, accomplish something. It's all because of his coaching and his leadership and founding. Just I'm trying to think of the right word to describe it. Just his overall demeanor to us. I mean, he's not just a coach. Honestly, he treats us like one of his own kids, and that's the reason why we look up to him. That's the reason why we still give him the credit to the day.
When did you begin to develop your own coaching style, your own philosophy?
Probably about. I mean, the game of soccer evolves all the time, and I always tell people that as a coach, you need to evolve with the game as well. My own. Trying to think, probably when I started coaching high school soccer, I had a different philosophy at the time. And it just, of course, a bunch of high school, used to be the old method where you put all your best players on top and you just send it, let them do all the magic up there. But I didn't like that because I like to be able to control the game. I like to be able to possess the ball and move the ball around, kind of do a push and pull system in there. And probably about 15 years ago, almost, is when I changed my whole philosophy. Just realized, what, because my thing is, there's in high school, 80 minutes, club soccer, 90 minutes. Even though I say there's a time limit, you got 80 or 90 minutes to play the game, but there's no time limit. There's no shot clock to get up to the goal. And I just felt like everybody kept rushing to get up to the goal all the time. And I kept thinking to myself, why are we in such a hurry? Because then if you get too fast, too out of control, you lose control of the ball. And it was just changed my whole philosophy, just slowing the ball down, slowing the game down, moving the ball around, trying to open up the gaps to see if we can actually get a shot off. And if not, we try to push them back in and restart back over again. So I guess about 15 years ago is when I actually changed my philosophy and did that approach instead.
When you look at how you coach, do you coach every team differently depending upon what your players are? Has your philosophy evolved? Do you try every year to play within that philosophy?
Oh, that's a great question. Absolutely great question. So I would love to be able to coach every single team the way my philosophy is, but I can't. The reason why is because you always have to see what type of players you have. Sometimes, you have some players who just will not. When I say will not, it's not a negative thing. It's just their style of play. Even though they're playing club, they play different from different coaches or coach differently. And when you join a new team, you're not asking players to change the way they play soccer. You ask them just adapt to a new style. And some players cannot adapt to a certain style. They're so ingrained on one way. So I always have to wait to see. I usually wait to after our first scrimmage, after our first actual regular season game, to realize, okay, where's our strengths? Where's our weaknesses? Now we got to adjust. We can't do this possession game. We can't go direct, So we always have to change ourselves depending on how the players are. So we always look every season, see what type of players there is.
How would you compare coaching club to coaching high school? Is it the same skill set? If you're good at one, you're good at the other, or you can be a very good club coach, not so good in high school, and vice versa?
That's actually really good. We've actually had conversations. Some colleagues of mine, friends of mine. My neighbor actually is a college coach, and we've had that conversation numerous times. And it's weird because since I coach club as well, I always tell people, put my hands like this. So club soccer, you're playing against the same age group every single year. And you'll have it like this or like this, where you're going to have almost the same skill set in the field, not 100%, but say between a 10% range of different skill set, but the same age group. And you can play your possession style or whatever style your philosophy is in the field, you can play that way. But when you come to high school, you've got one, it's like here, 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 and here. You got 4 different tiers of skill level. I always take it as it's almost like hockey. You can have a big player at high school who's got a strong foot, can jump and win anything in the air, but he may not possess that technical ability that you need, but you put him on the field. So he's your bruiser who's going to go up and win everything in the air, and you got to fly in the air sometimes. So I think there's a slight difference between club and high school. I've had players at Braddock who on their club team have scored 20-something goals in their season. But in high school, they've only put 2 or 3 in the whole season. It's just there's different skill levels in high school. I feel like high school is a faster paced game because of different skill sets. Club is a fast paced game too, but I feel like high school is just, you got to, I want to make sure I make this sound this right, is you have reckless and you have unreckless, but it's a different level and different speed of the game in high school. So we played against teams who are just, they're putting their shoulders down and going on, it's like almost football out there, just coming in like this just to get the ball. And I'm thinking, okay, you don't see that in club. Well, at least not on my end. Maybe some other clubs, but not mine. But that's my opinion. I mean, club is almost just like this, and high school is 4 different tier levels of skill.
Yeah. Which is more fun to coach, club or and more rewarding to coach, club or high school?
I love coaching both. When you win on both levels, it's absolutely fantastic. But I got to put my hat off to high school. The reason why, night games, you're playing on the lights, you're playing in front of your community, your peers, teachers, your friends. When you got the club games, your parents come to watch you play club. But like a 20 or 30 of your friends at school aren't going to come out on a Saturday or Sunday afternoon to watch you play club. They're going to come to a high school game. And just the energy in the stadium that night, when you feel the energy of the stands, it literally reverberates down to you on the bench. And I got to go to high school. I'm sorry. I love club, but I got to give it to high school.
Well, as I mentioned before, you coached the Mount Vernon girls high school team. Is it a different challenge coaching girls as opposed to coaching boys, or is it soccer?
At first, I'll be honest, at first it was a challenge. When I took over Mt Vernon girls, but way back then, sounds like a long time ago. It was trying to get them to play my style. And there were some parents who didn't get on board right away. I remember our first game was against South Lakes. And I was trying to get them to move the ball around, and you could just hear the parents just, yelling, just send it, and everything. And it was constantly telling them, just stick to the game plan, stick to the game plan. And my very first official game as head coach of the girls program at Vernon, we beat South Lakes that year, 2008. But it was it was just different at that time. When I first took over, it was the speed of play was a little bit different. So it was like every day at practice, I was trying to have it where you're running almost full speed because I wanted them to play faster. But the game now, I see the game has evolved so much that girls and boys soccer, they're both very technical and tactical. The speed, I think honestly the speed of play, I don't want to sound negative here. Just boys soccer speeds a little bit faster, but the girls, on their own right, play absolutely fast as anything. When I coached girls soccer, I was just trying to get them to play at a fast level and a high level, and so we trained nonstop at a high level at that time, and it worked out for us at the time. We wound up losing to Yorktown in the district title game that year in 2008. I remember that. That was actually a good game. Vicky was the coach at that time back then.
Oh, okay.
But the answer to the question, it's like this. Boys and girls soccer, they're both, how am I going to say this? Because if you say, I don't want to take one thing away from one side than the other, I've been fortunate to be on both sides of it, and I've taken away a lot of positives from both sides of it. So,
yeah. And I think, their girls are definitely playing some great soccer, and it's definitely fun to watch. What's your favorite age group to coach in the club level? Where can you have the most effect, and which is the most enjoyable?
So right now, I coach U19 at the club level, so I 11th and 12th graders. But if I had to choose all over again, I'll be honest, I would think probably the U13 level is probably to me the most fun. Of course, I've coached all the way down to the young kids too. My daughter when she was young, doing that was fun. But usually you get that U12, U13 level, that's right where they're coming into their own. And so, they're playing one way and you get to mold them to a different way. And at that time, they're like a sponge absorbing everything you tell them about soccer. Soccer is their life, and they just want to absorb every ounce of coaching you have. So that's a fun level right there, I'll be honest.
Yeah. I think that high school age for club, to me, the kids are a little bit over club soccer by that time. And my son was not MLS next level. He didn't play CNL. He played, but on a state cup caliber team. He got to the finals twice, I believe, and he was a good club player. But by the time you're in high school, you've done it all, and you really don't want to go to New Jersey and play match fit. And by then, high school means so much to you. High school is where it's at, I guess, unless you really want to play at the next level. I think when they get older, sometimes it's a little bit tougher. So you started coaching in Mount Vernon, as I said, and you coached the boys. In your first year there, you won the state title, and you coached a guy with an incredible story, Simon Cargbo. Tell us a little bit about that season and that run that you had.
So when my brother left to take over Robinson, of course, I took over the boys, and I think we had 9 returning players coming. And my brother and I coached a little bit differently, and they were so used to my brother's style of soccer. And coming in and trying to get things working, things weren't clicking. All cylinders weren't on the same. They all weren't working together. And It took a while to get things going, but and I've always had this approach that your regular season, I mean, you can go 0-13 your regular season as long as you're peaking at tournament time. So as long as you're taking every single game and you're just building, taking a step forward every game and trying to capitalize on the mistakes you made prior. And that season, the regular season was just trying to learn to be together, just trying to learn to finally click together. And I'll be honest, what really clicked was right towards the end. We played Hayfield, and Hayfield came over to Mount Vernon. They beat us in overtime. It was a great game, and they beat us in overtime. And after the game, I mean, because one of my players got red carded. I mean, he scored a goal to tie it up, ran by the Hayfield bench, and did the throat slash, automatic red. Yeah, immature kids at the time, but they grow and they grow personal growth. But after that game, we're talking to the team, and I look up. I was looking down, and I looked up at the team, and I mean, high school kids, just tears coming straight down. A couple players they were just so emotional because they left everything out in the field that day. And that was a turning point for us. Because the next day I was like, I'll tell you what, guys, next day I was like, after we did our little after-game speech, post-game speech, I said, you got tomorrow off, we'll regroup on Monday. Because it was a Thursday night game, and I remember coming back, and I was leaving school the next day, and I saw my entire team on the field. And so, of course, I can't have them on the field, just not supervised. So I go to my guys, you have a day off. And they're all like, no, coach, no day off for us. I mean, and that was a turning point. So I was like, all right, let me go get changed. And that was a turning point. I mean, seeing them get emotional after the game because they left every ounce they had on the field. That was a turning point for us. That was when everything just clicked. Everything here just came together and clicked as a team. And we had our struggles beginning the season. But like I said, once everything got clicked, after that, it went straight to the top.
Yeah. How does winning a state championship change the life of a coach and also of a player? Does it make you a better coach? Does it give you more confidence? Or does it just, it's one of those things, you win a championship and it's on to the next one?
I would like to say what you just said at the very last. It's like, okay, we won. Now let's get ready for next game or next season. But no, honestly, I'm going to be honest. To me personally, the confidence level shoots up higher. I'm not going to lie. The confidence was great. And the reason why the confidence was because you look back and you go, okay, you know what? The way I coached, my philosophy, it worked. So you think yourself, I mean, I was able to bring a bunch of guys together and play as one unit. I was like, it worked. I never took it as a personal ego thing because I've always give all the credit to the players. As a coach, we can put a game plan down for whatever we want. I mean, your X's and your O's and lineups or formations, how we're going to attack, how we're going to defend. But in actuality, the players are the ones I feel they have to execute. And they're the ones that actually have to play the game. So I give all the credit to the players at that time. I still do to this day. But as a personal level, winning something of that magnitude, the euphoria is absolutely amazing. I'm not going to lie. For a month afterwards, you're still riding that high from winning. Just to sidekick real fast, I remember after the season was over, I went to the beach with my wife, and we were sitting at the beach, and I was talking about the game. And my wife's like, "Can we just talk about something else?" But I was like, I just started laughing because I was like, "I'm sorry." The excitement was still inside of it, but winning that, honestly, I think it boosts your confidence level up because it makes you realize, okay, what I'm doing is correct. What I'm doing, the players they're adapting, they're reading, they're executing what you're putting together on paper. So the confidence level really makes you feel like you're a better coach.
Now that you're, one game away from advancing to the state tournament,
fingers crossed.
Yeah, fingers crossed. Do you find yourself looking ahead to that euphoria, or are you really trying to just stay in the moment and make sure you do what you can do to get there again?
I'll be honest. I'm trying to stay in the moment. My thing is, in any day, any team can beat anybody. You can be the best out there and lose to a team. So I always tell people, teams that are in last are one of the most dangerous teams to play. We're just trying to stay in the moment at this time. I'm not going to lie. Trying to get back to state tournament is absolutely amazing. Being to the spot we're at right now, it's been a hard, not hard. Let me rephrase. Let me amend that. Not hard, but it's just been a tasking, stressful 2.5 years. Like when you mentioned Emmanuel, who played with your son, you said a couple of years ago, I had a bunch of players graduate, and we lost to West Springfield in the regional quarters at that time. And we were a very talented team at that time when I took over Lake Braddock. And the following year, that's when MLS came around and players they weren't allowed to play high school soccer. And we lost 4 of our players, especially our starting goalkeeper at the time. So that really, really put us behind. We wanted to put a freshman in goal. And, and he was good. but just the butterflies and the pressure got to him numerous times. And I remember going to my athletic director, and I was like, hey, I need to start over. I was like, do you mind? I was like, I just want to go young, and for the next 2 years, build to see what we can do. And she was all on board for that. And she's been supportive since day one. And so the last 2.5 years of starting young, getting a bunch of sophomores together, and just building them up to where we're at now. So that's, I mean, we've had a rough patches this year against Westfield. We got Rick Carter earlier in the game, playing down a man. Lewis was our first game of the season. So of course, need a lot of kinks to work out. The Herndon game, which was, I'll be honest, I will never take anything with Herndon. They're a good team, absolutely. But when we played them, I started my entire bench because it was towards the end of the season, non-district game. And it was a great opportunity for me to say, you know what, I do want to try to compete with Herndon and see if we can win the game. But I looked at my assistants and I'm like, you know what, why don't we just rest the starters the second half, let the entire bench get the entire first half to play. And we did that. And I remember talking to Herndon coaches after the game. They were, because they came to scout us and they were surprised that we did that. But I'm like, it's a non-district game. I wasn't going to, and I'm no disrespect to non-district games. It was just a chance for me to play some other players and get much playing time in that day. But Herndon was still a great game that day. They were a good team. And of course, the Woodson game, that one went in overtime. That was a good game. That could have gone either way as well. But building the team back up for the last 2 years, starting young, getting to where we are now. So it's been a stressful journey, but at the same time, we're hoping, knock on wood here, we're hoping it pays off. I mean, we're just trying to live in the moment. But I'm not going to lie, seeing that state tournament hanging over your shoulder, just kind of hanging out in the distance that you can grab. You just want to get it as quickly as you can, though. But we even told the boys at practice on Friday, you got to stay grounded. You know, guys, we got to get past Woodson first, and they're a damn good team. I mean, so we can't take anything away from that.
You know, I have seen some MLS Next players sneaking back out there and playing high school. As a matter of fact, I've had several contacting me during the year, asked me to take photos of them down from social media. So I do feel like most of the top players now are back playing high school again. Do you feel the same way?
I do, honestly. I mean, now I'm not going to throw shade at any team, any school that brings players back at tournament time. I mean, that's their school, their choice. I mean, my thing is I just need to focus on what I can do with my team. But what you just said, yeah, I've had players on my team who actual club coaches come to the games. Their MLS coaches come to our games to see if they're playing. I had one player who literally asked to one of our starters who asked to sit the bench. He goes, Coach, you mind if I just sit this game out? As a matter of fact, it was against Woodson. I remember that. It was against Woodson. He asked if he can sit the game out. I'm like, are you out of your mind? But when I looked over and he was pointing, it said my club coach is in the stands, and he was playing MLS. But at the same time, I'm like, who cares? I literally said, it's like, who cares? He should be glad that you're playing, that you're staying in shape, you're enhancing your skills, and you're playing ability every day. He just didn't want to take the risk. I'm like, oh my gosh! As a coach, it's mind-boggling. But he sat that game, you know. But I do believe all the top players are back, and it's making high school soccer more exciting. I'm not going to lie; it makes it exciting as anything.
Yeah, it does make it thrilling. And you know, the word was out that Lake Braddock, most of the reasons for their down moments was because of MLS Next.
Yes.
You get much different kids at Lake Braddock than you got at Mount Vernon. Both teams. I used to live in Lake Braddock. Grew up there. Then we moved to Robinson before high school. But it's very diverse now. It's a majority minority population. Obviously, Mount Vernon is extremely diverse. You get the same type of kids, or is it different?
Now I do. When I first, I remember for years it was like when Joe Seuss was the coach and Andy Saffron was the coach there. It was, it wasn't as diverse as it is now. I remember when I took over Lake Braddock, I was actually, to tell you the truth, I'm so used to the diversity at Mount Vernon, being over there for so long, and coming to Lake Braddock. I remember I finally was able to. I was like, wow, I got these tall players now, and I was all excited because I finally got the tall players. But when I compare both of them, at the time when I was at Mount Vernon, players out there on the Route 1 corridor, very, very technically gifted. I'm not going to lie, they can dribble through a wet sack. Very technically gifted. When I came over this side of the park, I'll call it this side of the parkway, over the Lake Braddock, it was more tactical for me. I mean, it was these players knew how to move off the ball very well. So I mean, they would get past one player, they dish off right away, and then move off the ball again. And I was like, this is really good because now we're playing simple soccer. I mean, I can't take away from any side, but just The difference is the ones down in Mount Vernon were very tactically, it wasn't there. You had to teach the tactical part of that game, but technical, oh, geez, absolutely amazing. Matter of fact, there's a ref, Jim Zock, who's one of the, used to be one of the head refs. I think he retired. He made a comment to me one time. He was ref one of our games after the game. He came up and he told me, he said, I've refed all around state of Virginia. And he said that technically gifted, he goes, seeing these boys in the Mount Vernon, the Route 1 corridor, he goes, one of the best technically gifted players I've ever seen. And he made a comment about he goes, but the tactical part is not there. And I said, yeah, that's what holds us down a little bit, And now Lake Braddock is diverse. I'm over on this side too. So I'm getting both those type of players in the field. So it brings more excitement, honestly, and it makes it a hard decision. I'm getting 230, 240 plus kids coming up for tryouts. It's very hard to choose. It really is. Man.
Yeah. You have that many kids. Wow. Coach, what's interesting is in preparation of this interview, I went and see who was all district on your team. And they wouldn't necessarily have been the same players that I noticed were your best players when I played. And the reason why I say that is you have a very balanced team. Like there were some guys I would have thought would have been all district that weren't, and there are other guys that I didn't notice as much. It doesn't mean they didn't have great games. Sometimes, they're playing for the team, but they're always keeping shape and doing other things correctly. So I see your team as being very balanced. But just to kind of give the guys on your teams that won awards, first team all district, Zane Azim, the goalie, tremendous. Your left back, I believe, is James Perlman, senior. Zane's a senior, or Zane. Xavier Baranino is a midfielder, a sophomore, I believe, first team. So he's your young creator. Reese Whitehouse is your striker. He's a senior. Rowan Choi is a junior. He's a second team. I believe he was a midfielder. And Elliot Hines, who had I thought he had a really good game against Robinson. Seeing your center backs really kept their shape really well. Those were your top performers according to the all district teams, but I felt like your team was very balanced. How do you see your personnel?
The team is very balanced. I mean, there were some of the other names who I thought should have gotten first team, but when you're voting for the district players, and then you get them, you're doing the best you can to sell your player, but it's up to the other coaches to vote for them. And unfortunately, some of our other players who I thought should have been nominated and gone a bit higher up wound up getting an honorable mention instead. But I won't take anything away from them. They're out there playing hard, and their whole motivation is to prove to these coaches they should have been up there, though. But our players, I'm going to bring up Xavier Ferravino, our number 8. He's a sophomore. I brought him up after the third game last year. I brought him up from JV to varsity. We were playing against Wakefield. And Wakefield, they're oh gosh, Wakefield is a very tough team to play now. But after the Wakefield game, I walked to my JV coaches and I said, hey guys, I was like, tomorrow practice, I need Xavier. I'm going to come down and get him. He's going to get moved to varsity. And they was the best player on the JV team, and they were of course a little bummed out because they're losing one of their main players. But I was like, I watching him play. I was like, I got to bring him up, guys. There's no way he can be down here. And I brought him up the next day, and I expected him to slowly bring him in. I mean, he wound up starting the next game, and hasn't come off the field since then. I think I've only taken him off the field. Last game is the first time I took him off the field all season, this year and last year. He's a young kid. And the reason why I bring him up is my brother used to coach his dad. So that's why it's phenomenal. My brother used to coach his dad when his dad's in high school. Now I'm coaching his son. But Xavier is one of our balanced players who can actually really, really control the middle and keep us balance out there. But he can't do it by himself. And Perlman is just a fantastic right back.
Right back. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he's our captain. He's been our captain the last 2 years. And a lot of people mistake his size. And he's a ferocious defender. He can make the runs up. He scored a couple goals. Having him and then Reese up top to be able to bring the ball down and hold it. Reese last year was an all-district player, but Reese has played every position on our field except goalkeeper.
Wow.
That's the ability with him, is he's that jack of all trades player where he can play any position. But this year we had to keep him up top because he's our goal scorer, so we keep him up top instead, though. But we're pretty balanced out. I wish everybody could get the recognition that these players have.
Yeah. Well, it's a really good team, Coach. Real balanced team, and I thought again you went toe to toe with a very good Robinson team, and
Yes.
I just felt like it was high level play on both ends. So look, you got to play Woodson, I believe, in the semifinals. What are some of the keys for you for Woodson, and how would you handicap the Woodson team?
Woodson, I mean, Sean Burke has done a great job with Woodson. I mean, heck, my rivalry goes back with Sean when he was TJ's coach for the boys over there.
Yeah.
Sean's a great coach. He's got a great team. One thing we got to stop Alex Garrison. I mean, he's our main player. We got to stop him. But I mean, player of the year, district and regional player of the year. We got to stop him. He controls that. He controls that field. They've got some defenders in the back. They hold the line very well. They got a guy at top who's not afraid to shoot. Their wingers make good counter runs, and it's just his team is. I mean, his team. How am I going to say this? They define the word grit. I mean, they will hustle and hustle and hustle nonstop. They won't stop running, and that's something that we had to be able to contain. When they had the ball, I've seen it when I played them last time. When they lost the ball, their first 3 steps were going to get the ball right back. I mean, literally, they just pressure to get the ball right back, and they carried that same momentum all the way through to 30 seconds in second OT when they won. They just did not stop. They defined grit, and that's something we have to be prepared for. It's not going to be an easy game, and I mean, are we ready? Absolutely, but it's just something we still got to prepare for our next practice, just to be 100%, make sure we're on the same page to get that done.
Yeah. Do you see the game being similar to the Robinson game, in that it's going to be low scoring and down to one mistake or penalties, or do you think Woodson? Their games have seemed to be more high scoring games on both sides. I mean, they played Yorktown. I think was a 4-3, and I guess Annandale was 4-2. Do you see it similar as last time as Robinson being low scoring, or do you think this could be a little bit more goals?
I'll be honest, I'm a little bit nervous about that. I'm hoping it's a high scoring game on our end. I really am. But that's the part that makes me nervous. Honestly, the last time we played Woodson, it was 0-0 all the way through, and they won 1-0. But I mean, they're putting the ball in the back of the net. They really are, and that makes me nervous. It makes me nervous because they're putting the ball away, and I'm trying to prepare to see how we can stop that. So if I had to predict right now, I'm predicting a low scoring game. I really am, because I think it's going to be a defensive battle. If we're able to contain and stop their shots, then it's going to be a defensive battle and a low-scoring game. But they make me nervous. They're putting the ball back in the net. They're making me nervous.
If it goes to penalties, do you like your chances? I
do. Let me knock on my wood here real fast. Yeah. I do, but I'm just I'm hoping we don't get that far, because it's nerve-wracking when you got to go all the way to the penalties. It's just nerve-wracking on the bench. It really is. Well, yeah, I don't have any hair. I don't have more hair to pull out. So
exactly, you got to pull your beard out. I went to the Robinson game, the late Braddock Robinson game, and then I got to see the Herndon. I got to see the McLean Westfield game. That was penalties as well. So I
watched that. Yep.
And that was interesting because Westfield has the tall keeper, and McLean has a short. Well, he's not as short as the Robinson keeper, but he's maybe 5'11" or so, and he made 2 saves, and the Westfield keeper, who's tall, made 0 saves. So I guess you just you never know. Well, look, Coach, this is great. I really enjoyed meeting you. I got some emails from some of your players, or maybe supporters, saying that I was a Robinson advocate, and then I said, "Well, guys, I did go to Robinson, so if that's the case, I'm guilty." But I'm very happy that your team plays the right way. I felt that both teams had great sportsmanship. That game, I thought it was a really nice environment, even though it was a neutral environment. It was a very nice environment, and so I think you guys, handle yourselves, and I think you'd be very worthy representatives of the Occoquan region if you can get one more win in over my good friend Sean Burke.
Yeah, it's gonna be tough. I'll be honest. Thank you though for the kind words, but hopefully we can keep it together. I mean, Sean's always got a good team. I mean, every time he coaches, he's always got good teams. It's gonna be tough to get past him.
I know he had a brutal weekend. He's probably, I can see him now, probably going through all these different machinations in his mind on what to do against Lake Braddock. But I know he'll have something cooked up for you on Wednesday.
Oh, I'm sure he will.
Yeah. Well, look, Coach, again, I appreciate your time. Good luck in the tournament today. You have a game, I know, in your club tournament, but more importantly, at least to me, is best of luck on Wednesday.
I appreciate that. Thank you so much for having me on. I appreciate it.
You're welcome. Nice talking to you, Coach.
Take care. Thank you.
All right, buddy. Take care.